Ashley Truman, and today I'll be evaluating my media studies project in which I've made a music magazine called Impact. Well, first of all, I've used a basic layout using a title, a main image, cover lines and a barcode. And this really fits in with normal magazines as that's pretty much how they're laid out. However, I've used a unique colour scheme in which I've used yellow and black. Red, black and white are a strong colour scheme because it shows power and strength, but also like the romantic side. But I decided to go against this so that my magazine really stood out and was more eye-catching in a group of magazines. So that's where I chose yellow and black, as yellow is still quite a popular colour. However, it's not as commonly used. Throughout my magazine, I kept the colour scheme, and this is normally what magazines do, just to keep it fluent and allow the reader to feel like it is one set product, it's not loads of different things. Also, the genre I'm doing, which is hip hop and rap, they use sexual attraction quite a lot with the images to sell different products. As you can see on my contents page, I've used a very attractive picture of a girl showing their curves, the heels, the short dress, but I've also used pictures of a guy in there, as I don't want to just single out my target audience as men. I also want to allow the girls to get hold of it as well. As I said before, I'm using the hip hop rap genre, and this really separates it from popular music, as there are some hip hop and rap tracks that become top of the charts. However, it's more of a target audience that would be constantly wanting this magazine on a regular basis, and this tends to be people that are highly involved in the hip hop culture, such as MCing, DJing, rapping, producing their own music, different things like that. And I've talked about that in my audience profile, which really shows the main target audience I'm aiming for. Also, I've used target language, and I want to add in slang language, well, a bit of it, just to make it less formal so the reader feels more interlinked with the actual magazine. But also I wanted it to be more up to date with the new kind of genres and the new words that are coming in, just so we're the most up to date magazines, we're on top of it and people are interested whilst reading, as you don't want it to be totally formal and then get boring halfway through an article. The images I've used are very interlinked with the actual social group that would read this magazine. So you've got the style of clothing they're wearing, the way they're posing, the actions, and this all comes together to like represent that social group, and this really makes them want to buy the magazine. It's representing them in a truthful way. I don't want to do it badly and have them not read it, so the more truthful we are, the more in depth they'll feel and the more normal they'll feel with the magazine. And this can be really helpful in targeting our audience and making sure they're regular buyers and they subscribe to our magazine. Well, as I've said on my blog, I'd like to choose Bauer Media to publish my magazine, as they also publish Q, Kerrang and Mojo, and they're very similar types of magazines in the way they're structured and the people they use in their magazines, so the artists. I did look into using a more independent publisher, or even creating my own publisher, because that would allow me to use whatever content I want and whatever was best for the magazine. However, with larger publishers, they're more able to tell you what to put in their magazines and what not to, and so I don't have as much freedom. However, if I did choose an independent publisher, I wouldn't have as much funding or social backing as I would with Bauer. Also, Bauer can help support me via advertising and lead me onto different platforms to promote my magazine, such as at festivals, on telly, on radio shows, and in other magazines. There's plenty of ways I can do that with Bauer. Also, they've got the experience, and so they know how to make a small magazine big, and they know how to target that audience. So that's why I decided with Bauer over any of the others. As I've stated on my blog, I've got a target profile, and I've decided from my questionnaire and the survey and the results it came back as, my target audience would be mainly male, as that's mainly the people that like the genre of hip hop and rap, and also decided they'd buy music magazines over lifestyle magazines or magazines in general. And this can be quite difficult, as I don't want to miss out the girls from this target audience. However, I need to make a strong impact on the boys to keep them reading and make them choose my magazine over any others. Also, I decided that the content of my magazine would be a lot more informal, allowing them to really feel like the magazine was just a friend, not a teacher like blaring words at them. And I think this should help quite a lot in my sales, as well as having a target audience allows me to promote and choose certain artists in the way they would like it the best. As I've said, also my images affect my audience, and I've chosen to use those images as they fit in more with the genre, as well as target the audience with the clothing they're wearing and the types of images they are really relate to the social group which I'm aiming my audience at. I've chosen a target audience as well as a target language. This will all come together with the images, the colour scheme, and the types of articles within the magazine to really engage the set audience. And the colours and images I've used are what I've chosen to highlight and help the magazine be attractive to the eye. Also, it has a very unique title, which is Impact, and I feel that it's got a really strong influence about it and can really focus at that certain audience, as the type of music really has that heavy hitting, strong bass, and that's fluent throughout my magazine with the branding of Impact and the colours and the images used. I've also used a website, as I don't want to rule out any other platforms. Surely when my music magazine is developed and more popular, I'd quite happily make it into an app on the iPad, or make an e-magazine so it's online, so you can subscribe online and receive it via email or whatever you prefer. I also then create platforms such as a radio show or a television program, or maybe even really far in the future a festival, which would all relate to Impact and what it stands for and who it's trying to represent. And that's how I'd interact with my audience and attract them towards reading Impact, as it's a wide range of advertising, and that can really help spread out the target audience, so it's more of a wide range rather than just a niche section of the market. It helps that it's very fitting with the genre, and it's very similar to magazines such as Vibe, XXL and Q, which I've all researched within my blog, and this will really allow readers from them to also buy Impact or switch to buying Impact, as it might have more content available that they want. So that's how I attract my audience. Well, to be honest, I've learned a lot about Photoshop and how I can edit and crop and change the brightness on different images, and how to really make them more suitable to a certain purpose, as sometimes they're too bright and you want them more dull and hidden away. However, quite often you want the high contrast images, and sometimes you don't get that with just the camera, and so this process of editing the image is really important, and I've learnt that throughout. I've also learnt about using cameras and getting the right shot, and this can be really important because otherwise you're not going to sell to the right audience or get the right image. And with high quality cameras it's much easier, and they have very developed software on them which you can change the brightness or change it to black and white and edit them within the camera before using a computer program to edit it further, which can be very useful, especially if you don't have a computer in sight at the time but you still need to see whether that picture will work or not. Also, I've learnt about blogging, and especially on WordPress.com, how to use the site and make it a lot more interactive to the reader, such as using slideshows, making images bigger or smaller depending on whether you want the reader to see them as more of the main part or just a side image. And also you can link from one website to another, which I've used on my blog to link to videos on YouTube, such as this video, and this can be very handy in showing your audience what you want them to see, rather than just doing the best you can. You can actually show them videos, you can actually link them to websites, and I've learnt that this can be very useful, especially in the media business. Well, I feel as if though I've developed my techniques quite a lot, and I've really been able to learn the importance of research and development and feedback, because on my preliminary task I didn't develop it, I just researched the basic conventions and then made my magazine, and looking back on it, it looks very amateurish and is not very well done. However, with my magazine I've researched it fully, then produced a prototype in which I got feedback on it, and this allowed me then to tweak it to the audience's preferences and the good and bad feedback I got back, and then once more time get it fed back to me again, just to make the last few tweaks